for those who keep us safe. We've got your back. Meet Jim Dutton, contractor and syndicated home improvement radio host. On the weekends, he's taking calls and answering questions on his radio show. During the week, he's helping to renovate homes for the injured brave men and women that keep us safe with his radio show renovation team. This is Overhaul for a Hero.
Day was Saturday, May 3rd. I remember the day was a very sunny day. It's a very nice day. He had planned to take some time off because he was working that day to coach our son's baseball game. So we met at the fields and he coached the game and they won. It was a really good afternoon. It was really nice. And I just said goodbye, but I had forgotten to say I love you. And so I inadvertently yelled it out and I was a little embarrassed by it, but I just went, oh, whatever, just moved on. I remember distinctly it was around 7:30. One of my neighbors, Joel, said to me, hey, Tina, I think Jeff's here. When I took a peek around the corner, I saw the truck, Chief's truck. And Jeff had told me that if you ever saw a battalion chief coming to your house, that you should be concerned. And as soon as I saw the white shirts, I started panicking a little bit. I could almost feel my knees buckle, and I wanted to cry, and I wanted to just get upset, but I couldn't because my kids were right behind me. And I turned around to my oldest son and I said, okay, we're gonna have a sleepover with the neighbors. You've gotta be a good boy and you gotta watch out for your sister. And I could remember sitting in the back of that Suburban and the blackness of the inside and just looking down going, is this for real? And I kept on asking them, did he die? Did he die? And are you just taking me away because you wanted me to be in the hospital? And they're like, no. And I made them promise that they were telling me everything that they knew. And they promised that they knew that he had been badly injured, but they didn't know the extent of it. And I needed to be at the hospital immediately. And he was asking for me.
It was a pretty uneventful day. I mean, we'd only made a couple calls, I think, before that. So we went in, and it didn't look that bad. I mean, it was smoky, and you can't really see very well. It's not like on TV where you can see across the room. I was pulling ceiling, and I remember seeing fire above us, and it was starting to get a little bit, ugly. Things were starting to turn south, and so about that time, I heard him say on the radio, everybody out. We're pulling everybody out. We turned, started to go out, kind of worked our way back towards the front door. And the whole sheetrock just dropped in but it hinged down. And all the fire that was up there just basically blasted everybody who was in there. At that point, it's, fight or flight. Everybody is trying to get the heck out of there. I remember seeing the fire rolling across the ceiling at me from my right and thinking, this is not good. And then everything started dropping in. I was just kind of caught bouncing off the walls. At one point, I felt like I was stuck. I couldn't move, and at that point I was burning, and I knew this is not good. And I'm thinking I'm gonna die, and I've got to get out of here. There were some guys from Engine 53, and they'd done what we call PAR. They knew I wasn't there, and they said, "No, Patterson's. We don't have Patterson. Patterson's not out." And so they were getting ready to come in, and they were getting ready to come in to get me. They were getting ready to, risk their lives to come get me. And so just by the grace of God, Barber just happened to glance over, and apparently I had bumped up on that window. He either saw my glove as it was sliding down the glass, and he said, basically, there he is, and they broke out that window and pulled me out. The last thing I remember is being in the ambulance, just breathing. As long as I was breathing, I knew I was alive, and that's the last thing I remember.
His face was charred. It looked like he had his helmet and his chin got boiled to blackness. His left ear was nothing more than a tiny ball of blackness. I thought he was going to lose his ear. He had bruises across his face, and he was covered all in white. It wasn't until after the fact that I was talking to a senior person in the administration at Parkland, and he said, your husband's an outlier. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, it's very rarely that we get someone come in with such low percentages of survival that survive. And I was just like, oh, I didn't even know that they would assign them. He's like, yeah. And I said, so what was Jeff's? And they were like, he had less than a 4% chance. I got the news, and I needed to tell my in-laws, Jeff's mother and his stepdad, and I remember feeling horribly guilty, being like, these people, this poor woman is probably crying every night, trying to be so strong for her son, and here I am having to tell them that I have colon cancer, and I don't know how bad it is. I remember sitting in my dining room and saying, okay, here's the deal. I have cancer. You can't cry about it if I can't cry about it. And it's going to be our secret. We're not going to tell anybody about it. We're not going to tell firefighters. We're not going to tell anybody. It is our secret.
She didn't even tell me till I think about a month, maybe about a month before, I got out. But she'll tell you that she kind of viewed it as, more of a, she didn't have time for that right now. It was kind of inconvenience because of all the other stuff we had going on.
I thought to myself, colon cancer has a good prognosis. And I thought to myself, well, how many times do you get cancer and it's not really the worst situation in your life at that moment?
I set up a time to come meet the Pattersons, and I told my wife, look, I'm only going to be gone an hour. I'll be home. We'll go out to dinner. I get over here, and I'm sitting here, and I'm talking with the Pattersons, listening to their story. We walk around through the house, and I said, this is a lot more than an air conditioner. Okay, let me talk to my team and see what we can do. I can't promise we can do everything, but let me see what we can get started. I think we can do a lot more than just the air conditioner for you. We sat down with our team and explained to them what the project was. And without fail, everybody volunteered and said, we're in. And that's how the project got started. Well, we're out here now to go ahead and get started with our contractors.
We're going to have to do a complete overhaul of the mechanical system in the house.
I couldn't even tell you what the brand is of this one. I think that might be a Zensko, but it is definitely, it's older than I am. That's for sure.
Man, what a